This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. North Korea fired multiple ballistic missiles on Thursday, including a possible failed intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM) that triggered an alert for residents in parts of central and northern Japan to seek shelter. Despite an initial government warning that a missile had overflown Japan, Tokyo later said that was incorrect. Officials in South Korea and Japan said the missile may have been an ICBM, which are North Korea's longest-range weapons and are designed to carry a nuclear warhead to the other side of the planet. South Korean officials believe the ICBM failed in flight. Spokespersons for the South Korean and Japanese Ministries of Defense declined to confirm the possible failure. Japanese Defense Minister Yasukazu Amada said the government lost track of the missile over the Sea of Japan, prompting it to correct its announcement that it had flown over Japan. Retired Vice Admiral and former Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force Fleet Commander Yoji Koda said the loss of radar tracking on the projectile pointed to a failed launch. Russian attacks were reported across large areas of Ukraine on Thursday, with heavy shelling in numerous regions, damaging infrastructure, including electricity supplies to Europe's largest nuclear plant, Ukrainian officials said. The Zaporizhia nuclear power plant in southern Ukraine has again been disconnected from the power grid after Russian shelling damaged the remaining high-voltage lines, leaving it with just diesel generators. Ukraine nuclear firm Energoatom said the plant, in Russian hands but operated by Ukrainian workers, has 15 days worth of fuel to run the generators, Energoatom said. Russian strikes were also reported in Kryvyi Rih in central Ukraine and in Sumy and Kharkiv in the northeast. There was heavy fighting in the eastern regions of Luhansk and Donetsk. Russia has said it has targeted infrastructure as part of what it calls its "special military operation" to degrade the Ukrainian military and remove what it says is a potential threat against Russia's security. Supporters of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro on Wednesday held rallies to call for an armed forces intervention following the election victory of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, a move that military experts say is out of the question. The country's electoral authority on Sunday said Lula won almost 51% of the vote. Bolsonaro has not officially acknowledged the result, though his cabinet has initiated a transition, with Lula set to take over the presidency on January 1st. Bolsonaro supporters in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro led festive rallies on Wednesday, carrying Brazil's yellow and green flag draped over their shoulders, blowing horns and chanting anti-Lula slogans. Similar rallies were held in 24 of Brazil's 26 states, as well as the capital, Brasilia, according to Brazilian online media portal G1. In response to a request for comment, Brazil's defense ministry said peaceful demonstrations were part of free expression under Brazilian law, adding that the defense ministry is guided by the federal constitution. The Ethiopian government and regional forces from Tigray agreed on Wednesday to cease hostilities, a dramatic diplomatic breakthrough 2 years into a war that has killed thousands, displaced millions, and left hundreds of thousands facing famine. Just over a week after former peace talks mediated by the African Union (AU) began in the South African capital, Pretoria, delegates from both sides signed an agreement on a permanent cessation of hostilities. In quote, the two parties in the Ethiopian conflict have formally agreed to the cessation of hostilities as well as to systematic, orderly, smooth and coordinated disarmament, said Olusegun Obasanjo, head of the AU mediation team, at the ceremony. Obasanjo, a former Nigerian president, said the agreement also included, in quote, restoration of law and order, restoration of services, unhindered access to humanitarian supplies, and protection of civilians. Turkish annual inflation climbed to a new 24-year high of 85.51% in October, official data showed on Thursday, slightly below forecast after the central bank cut its policy rate despite surging prices. Inflation has surged since last year, when the lira slumped after the central bank began cutting its policy rate in an easing cycle long sought by President Tayyip Erdogan. In the last 3 months, the central bank slashed its policy rate by a total of 350 basis points to 10.5%. It promised another cut this month as the final move in the current easing cycle, running counter to the global monetary policy tightening trend. Month-on-month consumer prices rose 3.5%, the Turkish Statistical Institute said, below 3.60% forecast in a Reuters poll. Annually, consumer price inflation was forecast to be 85.60%. The annual inflation in October was the highest since June 1998, when Turkey was working to end a decade of high inflation. That is the size of top Accolade Global News update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday!